Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hey there.
This week, we're taking a look at the latest from AWS. Got a whole stack of announcements from, August 25th through the 29th, 2025.
Yeah, quite a busy period.
Absolutely. So, our mission, like always, is to pull out the really important stuff for you, our technically savvy listeners.
Yeah.
We want to connect the dots on what actually matters for your architectures, your workflows.
It really was a packed week. It kind of highlights AWS's ongoing push for specialization, doesn't it? And really pushing what's possible in the cloud. We saw pretty significant updates across, core compute, data, and AI, security, and developer tools, too. What's really fascinating, I think, is how these advancements are kind of democratizing access to really powerful new capabilities. But at the same time, they're giving architects, more granular control and better efficiency.
That's a great way to frame it. It does feel like a twin focus.
Yeah.
You get more power, sure, but also smarter ways to actually use that power. Yeah. So let's unpack this. We'll keep an eye not just on what they announced, but really why it shifts things for those of you building and managing stuff in the cloud. Okay, let's kick things off with core compute and infrastructure. I mean, that's the foundation for almost everything, right?
All right.
We saw a whole wave of new EC2 instance types, some important regional expansions this week, beyond just, faster machines. What's the architectural insight we should be taking away here?
Well, what really stands out, I think, is AWS's just relentless push for specialized, cost-optimized compute. It's quite something. So take the new IH instances, for example.
Okay.
These are powered by Graviton4, that's their ARM-based chip, and they offer up to, 60% better compute and 55% better real-time storage performance per terabyte.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. And what's critical here is they use the latest Nitro SSDs. Those are their custom-built, high-performance, solid-state drives, really designed for low latency. So this isn't just about raw speed. It's about providing this incredibly dense I/O-optimized platform. So for you, listening, this means you can deploy systems that maybe used to be heavy on-prem things like large relational databases, non-relational ones too, streaming analytics, search clusters. You can deploy them now with cloud elasticity and really exceptional performance. And potentially, at a lower cost than before.
So it's really about bringing the performance needs of those traditionally sort of hard to migrate to the cloud workloads much more within reach? Is that fair?
I think that's exactly it, yeah. And what about the general purpose side? Well, we saw updates there, too. We saw the general availability of new M8i and M8i Flex instances. These use custom Intel Xeon 6 processors, which are actually exclusive to AWS. They deliver up to 15% better price performance compared to the previous Intel generations. The insight here, I think, is the continued relevance and, optimization of Intel for just a vast array of general purpose workloads. Think web servers, enterprise apps, that kind of thing. The M8i Flex instances seem particularly easy to adopt for a lot of common tasks, while the full M8i ones cater more to those needing the really big sizes or, continuous high CPU usage. They even got SAP certification.
That's good to see that continued innovation on both fronts, right? Graviton and Intel gives people more choice.
Definitely.
And what about for those with really specialized needs?
Yeah.
Like massive memory requirements?
Precisely. Yeah, the U7i 12TB instances, these have a staggering 12 terabytes of DDR5 memory. They're now available in Asia Pacific.
12 terabytes. Wow.
I know, right? These are really designed for those mission-critical in-memory databases. Things like SAP Ada, Oracle, SQL Server. The architectural implication is, you can now run these truly gigantic single-node in-memory workloads in the cloud, things that previously would have been incredibly challenging, maybe even impossible, supporting high transaction throughput right from that huge memory footprint.
Okay.
And beyond that, for network-intensive workloads, the CAGN instances, they use Graviton4 again, up to 600 GBPs network bandwidth. They expanded to US West and California, which is just a clear signal that network throughput keeps scaling up for, specialized appliances, data analytics, that sort of thing.
So beyond the raw power, it feels like AWS is also focusing on making these specialized environments easier to manage.
Yeah.
What stood out for macOS workloads?
Yeah, that raises a really important point about operational reliability, doesn't it? For EC2 Mac dedicated hosts, AWS now offers host recovery and also reboot-based host maintenance. This basically fundamentally changes the operational boot-in for running macOS workloads in the cloud. Host recovery, it automatically detects hardware issues, seamlessly migrates your Mac instances to a new host, minimizes disruptions significantly.
That's huge.
It is, and reboot-based host maintenance does something similar for, planned maintenance. The key takeaway here is just improved uptime and, crucially, reduced manual intervention for your macOS dev or build environments in the cloud makes them more resilient, more cloud-native in how you manage them.
Right, less babysitting.
Yeah.
And network visibility, any updates there that expand how we can monitor traffic?
Yes. VPC traffic mirroring now supports all Nitro v4 instances.
Okay.
So that expands your ability to replicate network traffic from, the latest and greatest EC2 instances over to your security and monitoring appliances. Gives you more comprehensive visibility across your most modern compute infrastructure.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's dive into the heart of many modern apps, data, analytics, and AI. This past week brought some, truly significant advancements in how we interact with and leverage large language models, particularly around data integration.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here is seeing how AWS is simplifying the integration of, your structured data with generative AI, making advanced AI just more accessible.
How so?
Well, Amazon RDS for MariaDB 11.8 now supports MariaDB Vector.
Okay, vector support in MariaDB.
Exactly. It means you can store vector embeddings directly in your relational database. For many of you listening, this is potentially a game changer for retrieval augmented generation or AG applications.
Right.
It kind of democratizes RAG by bringing those vector embeddings directly into your operational database. You might be able to sidestep the complexity, maybe the overhead of running separate vector databases for some common use cases. It's really about bringing AI closer to your trusted structured data, enabling more contextual, more accurate AI responses by, grounding them in your specific internal knowledge.
That does sound like a significant simplification for building RAG apps. So you're saying maybe you don't always need a separate vector store now?
For many use cases, I think absolutely. Yeah. And sort of building on that theme, Amazon Neptune, AWS's graph database service, it now supports Bring Your Own Knowledge Graph, or BYOKG, for RAG. They're using an open source graph RAG toolkit for this.
Okay, BYOKG.
Yeah, so this lets you connect your existing knowledge graphs to LLMs. The insight here is really about delivering more accurate, context-rich, and crucially explainable responses. That's especially important for complex scenarios like fraud detection where you need to trace relationships, right?
Definitely.
Or for detailed troubleshooting where understanding dependencies is just paramount. It grounds those LLM responses in your trusted, interconnected graph data.
That explainability piece is vital, especially in regulated industries, I imagine.
Totally.
And beyond English, it looks like generative AI is expanding its language reach.
Yes, exactly. Amazon Bedrock Data Automation, or BDA. It now supports 5 additional languages for document workflows. So Portuguese, French, Italian, Spanish, and German.
Nice.
This makes it significantly easier to process multimodal content, create blueprints, prompts, instructions, and just generate insights globally from documents in those languages. Really expands the global footprint of your AI-driven document processing.
Okay, moving to machine learning itself. SageMaker saw quite a flurry of updates. Seems like they're really streamlining the ML lifecycle, especially for larger organizations. What's the biggest governance win you saw?
Yeah, this highlights a core theme I noticed. Simplifying governance and scaling ML operations, SageMaker now introduces account-agnostic, reusable project profiles within Unified Studio.
Account-agnostic, okay.
Yeah. For domain administrators, this is huge. It lets you define common project configurations once and then reuse them across multiple AWS accounts and regions. This dramatically cuts down on duplication and really accelerates onboarding for data scientists. Plus, it ensures consistency and compliance across your whole ML ecosystem.
So no more sort of reinventing the wheel for every new ML project or team setup.
Exactly. It's about centralizing those best practices. And for data access control within that ecosystem, the SageMaker Lakehouse architecture now supports tag-based access control, TBAC, for federated catalogs.
Ah, TBAC for federated catalogs.
Right. This extends that simplified permission management to S3 tables, Redshift data warehouses, and also federated data sources like DynamoDB, PostgreSQL, and SQL Server. TBAC uses that logical grouping via tags, right? So it lets you scale permissions across vast data sets really efficiently with minimal policy management. And new tables automatically inherit the right fine-grained controls.
That sounds like a really powerful way to manage permissions at scale. What about security and storage for the actual training, those massive ML clusters?
Yeah, good question. On that front, SageMaker HyperPod now supports customer-managed KMS keys, specifically CMKs for EBS volumes.
Okay, CMK support for HyperPod EBS.
Exactly. This gives enterprises that enhance security and compliance control over their data encryption, which is critical when you're training foundation models and you need full control over your encryption keys.
Makes sense.
Additionally, HyperPod now supports the Amazon EBS Container Storage Interface, CSI driver. This allows for dynamically provisioning and managing persistent storage for ML workloads running on HyperPod EKS clusters. Basically makes storage flexible and manageable through standard Kubernetes persistent volume claims.
So better security and more flexible storage for those really big distributed training jobs.
Nice.
Okay, beyond ML itself, were there any crucial updates for just general big data processing or database management?
Absolutely. Amazon EMR made a pretty significant performance play. S3A, that's the Apache Hadoop S3 file system connector, is now the default.
S3A default on EMR.
Yeah. This optimizes Apache Hadoop, Spark, and Hive workloads by enhancing the open source S3A architecture with, AWS-specific optimizations, and it includes direct S3 Express one-zone integration. The insight here is basically a fundamental performance boost and advanced security features for your big data analytics running directly on S3.
Performance is always a welcome update, isn't it?
Always.
And speaking of cost optimization, particularly for maybe more specialized services like graph analytics, did we see anything that helps control spend there?
Yes, actually a very impactful one. Amazon Neptune Analytics now introduces a stop-start capability.
Stop-start for Neptune Analytics. Interesting.
Yeah. This lets organizations pause and resume their graph workloads on demand. It significantly reduces costs during idle periods down to just 10% of the normal compute cost while preserving all your data and settings.
Wow, only 10%.
Yeah. This is huge for periodic workloads. Think fraud detection runs, research simulations, data science experimentation. It simplifies the lifecycle management and really unlocks experimentation at much lower price points.
That's a really practical win for managing expenses. Definitely. And in terms of monitoring, what caught your eye?
Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus now offers direct PagerDuty integration.
Oh, okay. Direct integration.
Yeah. This simplifies incident notifications, basically eliminates the need for setting up custom Lambda functions, and streamlines the whole authentication process. It's a kind of quality of life improvement that just makes alert delivery more reliable and easier to set up for folks managing operational alerts.
Makes sense. Less glue code is usually better.
Always.
Okay, let's quickly touch on a specialized but, increasingly important area, quantum computing. What did we see there?
Right. For quantum computing, Amazon Bracket introduced a local device emulator for verbatim circuits.
A local emulator for verbatim circuits. What does that mean exactly?
It means developers can test their quantum circuits with device-specific characteristics and realistic noise conditions locally on their own machine before running them on actual expensive quantum hardware.
Ah, okay, so testing with noise simulation.
Exactly. The crucial takeaway here is a significant reduction in development costs and much faster iteration. You get early feedback on circuit compatibility and how it's likely to behave on noisy hardware, which is, frankly, a major hurdle in quantum development right now.
That sounds incredibly useful for anyone working in that space. Okay, shifting gears again, let's talk security and networking. Always evolving, always critical. What did this week bring us in terms of more robust controls or broader connectivity?
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for security architects, I think. AWS IAM Identity and Access Management now offers 3 new global condition keys. They are Oz.vpc account, Oz.vpc org paths, and Oz.vpc org ID.
Okay, new global condition keys in IAM.
Yes, and these are, I would say, a game changer for enforcing a zero-trust network perimeter.
Really? How so?
They basically shift the control plane away from managing network ACLs and security groups towards identity-aware policies that automatically scale. These keys make it significantly easier to ensure that requests to your AWS resources, or requests by their identities, are made exclusively through your defined VPC endpoints.
Right.
This drastically simplifies compliance and reduces your attack surface by ensuring traffic stays within your defined network boundaries.
That sounds like a fundamental shift. Moving beyond just network topology. to identity-based policy.
Yeah.
So it automatically adapts as your VPC endpoint usage grows. You don't have to keep updating lists.
That's exactly it. No more enumerating VPC endpoints or constantly updating policies manually. It scales with your organization. It's really powerful.
Wow, okay. And what about remote access and IPv6 adoption? That's becoming more critical for a lot of places.
Yeah, definitely seeing progress there. AWS Client VPN now supports connectivity to IPv6 resources. So you can have secure VPN connections to your IPv6-enabled VPC resources. And similarly, AWS App Runner expanded its support for IPv6 compatibility. It enables dual-stack configuration now for both public and private service endpoints.
Dual stack on App Runner. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is crucial for hitting those IPv6 compliance and adoption goals, right? And it simplifies network architecture by potentially removing the need for address translation in some cases.
Good to see that IPv6 push continuing across more services.
Agreed.
And network firewall visibility. Any new metrics there?
Yes. AWS Network Firewall launched a new ReceivedBytes metric.
ReceivedBytes. Huh?
Okay, for both the stateless and stateful engines visible in CloudWatch, this just provides valuable, more granular insights into network traffic patterns, helps with more accurate capacity planning, lets you optimize your firewall configs, maybe spot inefficiencies.
More data is usually good data for optimization.
Yeah.
All right, finally, let's explore developer and operations productivity. I mean, a successful cloud environment relies so heavily on efficient workflows, right?
Yeah.
What updates do we have that directly impact how developers and operators manage and deploy things?
Well, this raises that important question. How can we automate and streamline more of our daily tasks? So AWS Transfer Family now introduces Terraform support for deploying SFTP connectors.
Terraform for Transfer Family SFTP connectors.
Right. This lets you use infrastructure as code, IAC, to provision and manage those file transfers between S3 and remote SFTP servers. The benefit is pretty clear. You eliminate manual configurations, you get a fast, repeatable, secure deployment option, which is really essential, especially for regulated data exchange.
IAC for file transfers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very welcome move toward consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And for monitoring, finding issues faster, what's new in observability?
Amazon CloudWatch Application Signals now supports custom metrics.
Oh, custom metrics and application signals. Cool.
Yeah. This empowers developers and operators to define and correlate their own application-specific metrics right alongside the standard ones. The insight here is just getting deeper context to pinpoint root causes faster and with greater precision. Especially useful for complex microservice architectures, where specific business metrics are just as crucial as the technical ones, you know?
Absolutely. Custom metrics are always powerful for getting that true picture of application health.
Right.
And for our Kubernetes users out there, any quick wins?
Yeah, Amazon EKS introduced On-Demand Insights Refresh.
On-demand refresh.
Yeah, it just means you can immediately fetch the latest insights right after you make configuration changes or do upgrades. This significantly speeds up the testing and validation process when you're doing upgrades or reconfiguring your cluster. Helps you confirm if your changes or recommendations have successfully taken effect without having to wait around.
That's a great little quality of life improvement, actually. Less waiting.
Definitely.
Were there any other sort of notable updates in specialized developer tools or services, maybe?
Yeah, a few quick ones. For .NET developers, AWS Transform for .NET added support for Azure repos and artifacts feeds.
Okay.
This streamlines the modernization of .NET Framework apps, moving them from Windows to Linux-ready cross-platform .NET, letting developers kind of work within their familiar Azure DevOps workflows. And for customer engagement, Amazon Connect now offers new generative text-to-speech voices.
Oh, new voices for Connect.
Yeah, aiming for more natural customer conversations. They sound pretty highly expressive, very human-like across multiple languages. Should directly enhance the customer experience there.
Good stuff. Wow. That was an incredible deep dive into really a packed week of AWS updates. We covered everything from core compute advancements, AI integrations, all the way to crucial security enhancements and developer productivity tools. You can really see that ongoing commitment to both performance and operational ease, especially for technical users.
Absolutely. The sheer breadth of these updates is impressive, especially around generative AI, the enhanced governance features we talked about, and just that relentless march of specialized instance types. It really underscores the rapid pace of innovation. It's pretty clear that AWS is focused on giving technical users more powerful, more secure, and more flexible tools to build with and manage their cloud environments effectively.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Well, it means more specialized options to precisely fit your workloads, right? better performance to maybe push the boundaries of what you can achieve, and smarter, more automated ways to secure and manage your resources and your data. Maybe take a moment to think about how some of these particular advancements could simplify or accelerate your current projects. Are there any of these updates that could unlock a new architectural approach to a challenge you're facing right now? Perhaps one you thought was, I don't know, too complex or too costly to tackle in the cloud before.
Yeah, consider which of these new features could potentially eliminate a current workaround you have in place. Or maybe optimize a costly part of your existing infrastructure, or even enable you to build a completely new capability that just wasn't previously feasible or efficient. The real power, I think, is in understanding not just the feature itself, but the strategic shift it represents.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We look forward to exploring more with you next time.